Hi there, welcome to this week's Weekend Warrior video. I'm Mike Watchmaker, National Handicapper for Daily Racing Form. It's an all-Florida Weekend Warrior this week. I've got the two stakes races from Gulfstream, the Gulfstream Park Turf and the Suwannee River Stakes. And I've also got the main event at Tampa Bay Downs, that's the Sam F. Davis Stakes. Let's begin with the Gulfstream Park Turf. And really the big question here is, will Heart to Heart get loose on the early lead? And he might very well. Heart to Heart's been a horse who's made fashioned a terrific career. He's earned almost $1.6 million, primarily by getting loose on the lead in paceless turf races, and this might be another one. There are a couple of horses that have the speed to go with him early. One Go All Go, who breaks right next to him in the 2-hole, and Kurlov, who breaks from the 3-hole. Both have the speed to go with Heart to Heart if they want to go early, but I have my doubts. One Go All Go was narrowly beaten second at 30-1 in the Fort Lauderdale Stakes most recently, and he ran that way, sitting a little bit off the early pace. And Kurlov is ridden by Gerard Ortiz Jr., who's not necessarily the most aggressive rider on the block. So Heart to Heart might get loose in here. But even if he gets loose, I got a question about him. I mean, he ran in the Fort Lauderdale. He was the 3-5 favorite. And I know he had a terrible start. He reared up at leaving the gate, and then he had a steady early when the pace setter, Shining Copper, kind of crossed over on the field. And Heart to Heart's best chance was done by the time they passed the stands for the first time. But still, I just did not care at all for the way he packed it in the stretch, and he wound up a distant 7th of 8. I just didn't like that at all. I'm going to take a shot in here with High Happy. High Happy is a horse that came to the United States in late 2016 with some high hopes because in his last start in Argentina, he won the Group 1 Carlos Pellegrini, which might very well be the most prestigious race in all of South America, and he won it decisively, and he beat 19 opponents in doing so. He made his first 2 U.S. starts on the turf, and his second one, a fourth in the San Marcos Stakes almost a year ago, was a creditable performance. It was a good effort. Then he made his 2 most recent starts on the dirt. He was a reasonably decent fourth in the Santa Anita Handicap, and then he was third in a 3-way photo in the Tokyo City Stakes. High Happy comes into this off a 10-month layoff, and he makes his first start for trainer Todd Pletcher. First of all, the trainer change is just an enormous positive for High Happy. And I dug up this DRF formulator stat, which really kind of made me fall in love with the horse. Todd Pletcher, over the last 5 years, has won 10 of 22 starters with a $3.90 ROI, which is enormous for Pletcher-trained horses. With horses coming off layoffs of greater than 180 days in turf routes at Gulfstream Park. That's what High Happy is doing here. I'm going with High Happy to post a upset in the Gulfstream Park turf. That's race 9 at Gulfstream on Saturday. Race 10 is the Suwannee River Stakes. I don't think we're going to see a pace as slow as the one that we saw in last month's Marshall River Stakes. I mean, that race was the prelude to this one. And the fractions that were posted for that race were 26:37, 51:42, and 1:15:63. And I know the course was labeled good, but even though the course was labeled good, those fractions were glacier-like. I don't think we're going to see a pace that slow, but I don't think we're going to see a particularly good pace in here anyway because there's very little early speed. As a matter of fact, there isn't one single genuine front runner in the field. Now, I know Midnight Crossing went wire to wire when she won the Robert Frankel at Santa Anita in her last start, but that was a slow-paced race, and her prior races that say that she's not a legitimate front runner type. I think Ultra Brat, who won the Marshall's River, is going to get very much the same setup, and I think she's going to win right back. And I do think Ultra Brat is a legitimate horse. She's now 3 for 5 on the turf. The Marshall's River was her third victory on the grass, and she's had excuses in her 2 losses on the turf. She was part of an insanely fast early pace in her first defeat on the turf, and then her second defeat on the turf came in her first start in 11 months. So I think Ultra Brat's the real deal, and I think she's going to win right back in the Suwannee River. Let's close it up with the Sam Davis at Tampa Bay Downs. And I know Todd Pletcher's got Vino Rosso in here, who pretty much galloped in his first 2 career starts. He's going to take a lot of money in here, but I'm not, Vito Rosso's going to have to run faster than he has in either one of his 2 career starts in order to win this race, and maybe he can, but at the price, I'm not going to gamble that he can. Catholic Boy is absolutely the horse to beat here. I mean, he tried dirt for the first time in the Rebs in his most recent appearance, and he was very good winning that race. He powerfully drew away in the late stages and won by almost 5 lengths and got a very nice 91 Beyer speed figure. He is much the horse to beat here, but even acknowledging that, I'm going to take a shot with Vouch. Now, Vouch made his debut in late October at Laurel Park, and he won going long right out of the box, and he did it nicely. He was well bet that day, too. And he ran back in the Remsen. He was making only his 2nd career start, whereas Catholic Boy was making his 4th career start. And Vouch didn't have the best of trips. Now, he was 5 wide into the first turn. He was 4 to 5 wide around the far turn. He was used down the backstretch. And he wound up a soundly beaten 3rd behind Catholic Boy. He's got some ground to make up on Catholic Boy off that race. But, like I said, it was only his 2nd career start. He had a bit of a trip. I think with a more judicious ride and with the benefit of that experience, I think Vouch can close the gap and actually be very competitive with Catholic Boy. And I think he's got a puncher's chance to win the Sam Davis over Catholic Boy at what ought to be a square price. That's the way it looks for this week's video, Weekend Warrior. Good luck.